Hey everyone, this is Michelle.
And Rob.
And this is Spooky Shit. Okay, so this week Brayden was unable to make it due to personal things, but shout out Robert for joining me.
We have the next best thing.
Yes, the next best thing is Robert. We are going to be telling you all some survival stories. So I'm going to start out by talking about Ada Blackjack.
And I'm going to be talking about Aron Ralston. Warning. This episode may contain graphic details. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay, well, before we get started, how are you doing, special guest Robert?
Pretty good. In case anyone's wondering why we're not doing super spooky things or true crimes, is because I'm not into that.
He personally requested it.
But survival stories are pretty cool. And so we'll be talking about that. I've been doing pretty well. Honestly, I think this was a really interesting story, so I had fun kind of looking into it a little bit and researching it. I'm really into mountaineering and hiking myself.
Spoiler alert.
It was kind of nice to look up this. Also, there's a really famous movie that's made about this story, but I'll be getting more into that.
I was like, dang, spoiler alert.
No,
Motherfucker.
I think it's a pretty known story. He was on like a bunch of like talk shows and stuff like that. He was even on Ellen at some point. So
I forgot his name, to be honest.
Yeah, so this is a really well-known story, but I think it's a really cool story. And so I'll be talking about that today. And I'll be throwing in, I think because everyone or most people have heard this story, at least in some regard, I've kind of like thrown in some like different facts and like different stuff like that. So hopefully it's a little more interesting.
Things that weren't included.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's always better to hear the real version because, you know, movies and stuff, they're going to fucking change shit.
Yeah, they definitely did dramatize it a little bit, but even Ralston himself did say the movie was fairly accurate and kind of like more of a documentary of like what happened.
Anyone who doesn't recognize the name or what we're talking about is like, what movie do they keep referencing?
Yeah.
We'll get to it soon enough. But
but that's about it from you. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to think of like real life updates to think. It sucks because I was actually so excited to tell this to Brayden, and it's not as exciting telling you, but it'll be exciting telling the listeners.
Sorry.
No, me and Robert got our first sponsorship for Boon Vape.
Oh,
that's why it's less exciting.
It's funny. I don't know what you talk about during the starting session.
Yeah, I know you were immediately talking about your story, and I was like, he doesn't know I'm actually asking about his life.
No, I know. Yeah, I figured, but I was like, oh, I'll probably leave that more to you because obviously
you don't know what to talk about, really.
I don't know what to talk about, and we probably share similar experiences. So
we do, and immediately the first thing I say is something for both of us.
Yeah, so I figured I'd probably talk more about the background of my story and how I even decided to go with that to begin with. So
yeah, well, okay. First of all, let me tell you about the HelloFresh thing. Everyone listening, not Robert. Robert knows about it.
Yes.
It's very exciting. I don't know if you know, but I talk about Boon Vape in like the stream and stuff. Too.
That's so weird that you have like that much crossover.
I do have that much crossover because you already know whenever I stream, I talk about spooky shit all the time.
Yeah.
And whenever I do spooky shit, I talk about Boon Vape all the time.
That's so funny.
I mean, they're two things I spend a lot of time doing, so.
Yeah, I guess
I really enjoy them. But yeah, it's exciting. We have like a little promo thing, so people can get like up to 16 free meals over 6 boxes. No one's done it yet, to be honest, but we did it, so that's something.
Yeah.
Money in the bank.
Not even that. Actually, the food looks like it'll be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited for the food. I'm gonna like take pictures of it and stuff. I don't know if I'll put it on the Spooky Shit Instagram. I don't know if any of y'all want to see that, but they'll exist if you want to see it.
Just a break in between all the dead people. They'll just have some food pictures pop up.
And I'm just like, Noodles.
Same thing.
Death. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I will be referencing Noodles in my story as well.
I was about to be like, really?
No, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but not like the noodles that you eat.
What do you, like arm noodles?
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, God. Spoiler alert. Arm noodles.
I'm building up the anticipation.
I know, I could tell. So it was kind of funny. I was actually thinking I was gonna have to record alone this week, and I was kind of nervous for it because I did like a mini episode for Valentine's Day like a month after we started the podcast, and that is the only thing I've ever done alone the entirety of this podcast. And I was like, what am I even gonna do? Just like say hello and like read creepypasta or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because I didn't want to read stories because reading stories is a lot less fun when there's no one there to react to them or
Yeah,
like
you're just
ask
like
questions.
laughing by yourself.
Oh my god, literally me in that mini episode though.
Yeah, because I think it works with some podcasts because they don't expect a reaction or anything like that.
Yeah, but if you have been doing it for 2 years expecting a reaction, it could be weird.
Yeah, it's definitely probably something that's weird to get used to.
Totally. But yeah, thankfully Robert came through. I actually even tried to hit up Leah, who used to be on the podcast, but she said no because she didn't want to drive down to San Diego. And me and Robert are actually having to share a mic right now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'm used to just like doing with Brayden online.
Yeah, but I mean, we've done this in the past for our own podcast.
Yeah,
so.
but we're at my desk. We're usually at his desk.
Ooh, big changes.
It actually is a big change. It feels weird.
Okay.
But I gave him the options because as soon as like I knew I was gonna do it by myself, like I said, I thought I was just gonna read creepypasta. So I was like, okay, we could just read creepypasta. And he was like, I don't even want to do creepypasta. So I was like,
yeah, I don't like creepypasta.
I was giving him some choices because he doesn't like scary stuff. So I was like, we could do like a funny creepypasta. I said conspiracy theories, and he was into that idea. But
yeah,
then...
I have some like interesting ideas and theories about conspiracy theories, but I feel like that subject is like really serious and not like super interesting in like every regard, where this I think is like really interesting in like many regards. So that's why I kind of like this one more.
Maybe someday you could come back if Brayden's ever not able to make it. If we have a little guest, you could come on a conspiracy theory one.
Yeah, unless everyone hates this, for sure.
Yeah, if everyone hates this, let us know.
Yeah, let us know all the hate mail.
All the hate mail is accepted. It's something. But yeah, that was his initial choice, and then I was like, we could do like survival stories, and he was like, I know who I'm going to talk about, and immediately had chosen somebody.
Well, yeah, because this
like you're already thinking about him.
Well, this is something I had seen actually quite a few times in the past few weeks because I had been looking into subjects similar to this just over the past year, and I mean he's come up a couple times. So
like outdoorsy things.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, or survival things.
No, like mountaineering type things.
Yeah.
And so he just came up naturally, or at least his story did. Maybe his movie did, or just both.
Or maybe just reading about it reminds you of it.
Yeah, and also I know like quite a bit about the areas surrounding it as well, because it's a pretty famous area for even more reasons, other reasons.
I don't even remember where it is, honestly.
Oh, okay.
And again, we are being so vague, but if any of you recognize his name, hopefully you get where we're coming. You'll understand soon enough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to tell you the story, so.
But yeah, my person I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah, I've never heard of your person either.
I was stuck between two people.
Are they old? Oh, yes, yeah, they're very old.
She was, yeah. She died before I was born.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd never heard of her before, and there was somebody else that I almost chose that perhaps I'll save for in the future that was like shipwrecked basically and living on a boat for years. I think it was like 2 years. It was crazy. But I ended up choosing Ada's story because I don't know. I just thought it was wild.
I
mean, they're all wild.
She has a cool last name, so.
Blackjack.
Yeah.
I know. Like Jack Black.
No, like blackjacking in OSRS.
So, like I said, me and Robert are in a old school RuneScape podcast together. Shout out Boom Babe.
Actually, the first thing I thought of was the card game, of course.
I thought Jack Black whenever I saw it.
Oh, really?
Duh.
You think of it in reverse?
Yes.
Okay.
I think of it equally with the card game.
Oh.
I'm like Jack Black cards.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
yes. But yeah, usually Brayden and I have more stories to tell at the beginning, but you really, you're correct with our lives are pretty intertwined and we have nothing cool to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I went outside today, so that was cool.
Oh, I actually did things this week.
Yeah.
My friend's in town. Shout out Emily. She's really behind on the podcast. She didn't even know that Brayden changed his name.
Yeah.
She's behind.
Very behind.
But yeah, she's in town, so I've like been social and stuff. We went to Disneyland with her. Robert was there too. It was her first time at Disneyland. That was really fun.
Yeah, Disneyland's cool.
It was fucking cold though. Holy shit, it was cold.
Yeah, it was very cold. And like actually cold, not like
we're being bitches cold.
Yeah, I mean it was like 40 degrees, which is pretty cold. I mean, I think
somebody's listening right now like bitches.
No, I mean obviously if you live in Minnesota, you probably walk around in shorts at 40 degrees, but it's still pretty cold. I think, for California, pretty much anywhere else.
It's cold. Yeah. We were very grateful to be wearing masks. Leah and Emily were like, oh, we don't need to. And I was like, I'm just wearing for warmth at this point.
Yeah, because my nose and my ears are the first things for me to get cold.
Yeah. Yeah, he even brought like a little buff with him because we got buffs from like for hiking before, and he was wearing it like over his ears and his face.
If you don't know what she's talking about, because that's the brand name, it's a neck gaiter.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm thinking of Survivor. They're like
Yeah.
buffs. Here's your buff. I like Survivor, everyone.
Oh, okay.
But it was funny because we were just like wearing our hoods and sunglasses and like the fucking mask and stuff, and we looked like we were like incognito, like we
looked like someone that you might have talked about on this podcast, the Unabomber.
Oh yeah, no, Leah talked about someone that I was thinking of that was not the Unabomber back in the day.
Okay,
we talked about the Unabomber sometime.
We just needed some aviators, and we would have looked just like them.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. New episode idea.
New episode idea.
Lookalikes.
Doppelgangers.
Robert and the Unabomber.
Okay. No, I do not plan on going postal anytime soon.
Well, I sure hope so. Wait, didn't he do stuff with the mail? Was that a pun?
That was the point. He tried to blow up a federal building.
That was a good one. Going postal.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was good. Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I went to Disney. I am killing it anxiety-wise because Emily was in the car when I went to Disney. And today I drove her, Leah, and Leah's boyfriend for like probably 2.5 hours total.
Wow.
No anxiety while driving.
Many anxieties.
No, many non-anxieties.
That's what I meant.
Basically, I've cured everyone. So.
Yeah, basically that's how you get rid of anxieties. Drive around.
Actually, for me, yes.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my big accomplishments. I think I got one more Animal Crossing photo. It's not really much.
Yeah.
I'm working on it, slowly and surely.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm excited to tell Braden all this stuff next week.
Yeah, I know, right? You're like, can this week be over so I can go to my normal podcast?
I guess I don't even have to tell him everything. I'll just be like, hey, listen to the podcast, you know what's going on.
That's so funny. No, probably just save it for next week so you have more stuff to talk about.
And then you guys just all get to hear this again twice. Don't worry, I'll cut it out next week.
Yeah.
They're like, we already fucking heard the Unabomber going postal, blah, blah, blah. I would totally steal your joke.
Yeah, just do it again next week, and then for anyone that's a first-time listener, they'll be like, wow, they have so much to talk about.
And for everyone who's already listened, they're going to be like, wow, I'm not listening to this podcast anymore.
Yeah, or they can skip ahead.
True. But do you have any stories you'd like to add before we start?
Not really. Yeah, not really.
No fun facts you want to tell about yourself?
I don't have anything that's super exciting going on. Like I said, I went outside today, which is probably one of my big accomplishments.
When did you even go outside?
When we went to go get dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was for like a brief second.
Yeah, we went and walked to my car.
Yeah.
You went outside?
Yeah, I went outside. And
nice.
I did the dishes. Shout out me. Shout out normal people doing normal things.
Yeah.
You guys probably don't get thanked enough, so I'll thank you all for doing the dishes and vacuuming.
Roberts, they're just like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a mini dishwasher he does not utilize as much as we should.
Yeah, that's fine though.
He doesn't mind washing dishes. I hate it. Anyways,
who do you want to start?
I can start.
Okay.
Just so you won't be feeling as nervous, probably.
I'm not nervous at all.
Oh, confident.
Yeah.
I'll still start just because I said mine first.
You want to end with a bang, I guess.
Sure. Or end with disappointment.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm encouraging.
Nope, too late. Let's go.
Ending with a bada bing, bada boom.
Nope, too late.
Don't read my notes.
Ending with despair. Let's go.
Shush. Okay, so like I said, this week I'm going to be talking about Ada Blackjack. Robert, don't read my fucking notes, I swear to God.
I'm just reading them as you speak them.
We're sitting at the same desk, so this is intense.
Okay, you want me to just stare off into the
just close your eyes while I talk.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just don't read ahead.
All
I didn't know you were reading with me. I just saw you looking at it, and I'm like, what are you doing?
No,
his eyes are closed, everyone. So you can really imagine her, okay?
Yep.
Ada Blackjack, maiden name Delatuck, was born in 1898.
It was 100 years
Okay,
old.
well now I'm going to have to keep my mistaken because you laughed.
You don't have to keep it in. You can just restart.
It's okay. She's born about 8 miles away from Solomon, Alaska, on a remote settlement. Ada and her family were Alaska natives and belonged to the Inupiat.
Inuit?
No, it's with a P. And belonged to the Inupiat tribe. Hopefully I am pronouncing that correctly. After her father died when she was just 8, her mother sent her and her sister to a Methodist mission school in Nome, Alaska, where they were raised by missionaries who taught them to speak and read English, to study the Bible, And they also taught them essential skills at the time, such as housekeeping, sewing, and cooking.
Dang, that's actually pretty cool.
I mean,
to not have those skills and then to have those skills for free is pretty crazy back in the day.
No, I mean, it's cool she had those skills, but she didn't learn any of the stuff that she could have learned if she'd stayed at her home, which would have been useful later.
Oh, well.
Like outdoors things.
Yeah, I mean, it's useful if she ended up living there, but...
Yeah, I'll get to it.
Okay.
So, at 16, Ada got married to a local dog musher named Jack Blackjack.
What?
Yes.
What a ridiculous name.
His name was Jack Blackjack.
Dude, their parents... Those are the parents...
His parents fucking hated him.
Those are the parents that named their child Paul.
Paul. Isn't there a singer with something similar? His name's like that?
I don't know. Only
Probably.
Paul I know
like
is
Matthew
John
Matthews.
Paul.
Paul.
I know. It's like, dang. They should have just went full on and named him Blackjack. That would have been cooler.
Blackjack.
He could have named himself
or Jack Blackjack.
He could have had a sick rap name like Blackjack Squared.
Yeah, that would have been a really good rap name back in 1898.
No, just 18.
Just an 18, the year 18.
Yeah.
Jack Black Squared.
Just Blackjack Squared.
So anyway, and that's why as soon as I said Blackjack and you're like, oh, it's a sick last name, I want to be like, wait till you hear her husband's name.
Still a cool last name, even if they screwed up their child's name.
So she married Jack Blackjack, the dog musher.
Jeez. And of course it's a dog musher.
Of course he is, right? It's very Alaska 1900s.
He couldn't be like a butcher or a carpenter. He's a
Jack
dog
Blackjack,
musher.
the dog musher.
Jeez.
The local dog musher.
Okay.
Sorry to take a serious turn, but they soon had 3 children, and only one child, her son Bennett, was able to survive past infancy.
No, that makes sense. Honestly,
Mortality
back in the
rates.
day, that's why they had so many kids back in the day, because if you had 8, usually only half would survive.
Is that fucking crazy?
Yeah, that's just how it was back in the day.
So dark. Yeah, but we were just like laughing at his name, and I was like, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have like any of the shots, so it's like,
really
oh,
bad.
your kid gets whooping cough. Well, guess they're dead.
That's the most deadly disease of all.
I mean, it's, I don't know, babies get it a lot, so.
Yikes. And, okay. He really earned the name Jack Blackjack, because in 1929, I was tripping. I misunderstood what happened until I watched a video just someone talking about. Apparently, he took his wife and his child onto the Seward Peninsula in Alaska, and while they were distracted, got on like his thing with his dogs and fucking abandoned them on this peninsula.
Okay.
And just abandoned his family. So Ada was forced to walk 40 miles back to Nome, Alaska, along with her now 5-year-old.
Dang, what a savage.
Dude, Jack
What the
Blackjack's a motherfucker.
That's crazy. That's something I've heard of, like, people doing for, like, I don't know if it's for, like, revenge or whatever, but they'll do the same thing, but in the desert, like around here. Because you could just drive out into the middle of nowhere, Nevada, right? And you just drop them off. Or
Ew.
Arizona.
Ugh. That's scary.
I know.
Yeah, isn't that fucking fucked up?
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
She was like 21-ish, something like
But
that.
I mean, that's pretty sick that she was able to walk 40 miles. That would take, like,
Dude.
like an entire day at least.
And any time that her son got tired because he was a 5-year-old, she'd have to carry him.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Man, she's actually a real OG.
No, she's a god, yeah. Now suddenly a single mother, she was left poor and unable to provide for her son, who had developed tuberculosis because it was fucking 19 whatever. So she decided to temporarily place Bennett in an orphanage where they could better care for him. She had plans to raise enough money to provide him with a better life and treatments for his TB. So that same year, at just 23, she joined an Arctic expedition that had been planned and financed by Icelandic American explorer.
Explore her. Same thing.
Yeah. Viamore Stephenson.
Viamore
Stephenson. Want to look how it's spelled?
No.
I literally had to put parentheses.
No,
it's
it's
like,
okay.
I was going to say Vilhelmor.
Oh, Viamore Stephenson.
Viamore.
Okay.
But it's a lot of letters in it.
Yeah, it's kind of like how,
I would not have guessed this.
Like, imagine the word Mjolnir, but like.
I cannot even imagine that.
But like Viamore.
But like mixed up.
Yeah. It's like Vilhelmur.
Yeah, for the rest of the story, I'm going to refer to him as Stephenson.
Okay.
So Stephenson, who wasn't actually going on the expedition himself, had recruited Ada to sew fur clothing for the team during their year-long expedition, as he was looking for an English-speaking seamstress. She was told that she wouldn't have to worry about the day-to-day grind working outside in the wild, which was a relief to her. She was scared of having an encounter with a polar bear and was like deathly afraid of being eaten alive by one, which relatable content right there.
Yeah, I mean that actually definitely like polar bear attacks happen pretty often.
Yeah, they were not going extinct back then either.
I mean even now.
Yeah. Oh, polar bears are scary. Bears are fucking scary.
Yeah, they're one of the most aggressive bears and the biggest and strongest.
I didn't know either of those.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to fuck with a polar bear.
Yeah, they're actually a really big deal.
I'm gonna Google so much about this after we're all done.
Yeah.
I must know more. I thought it was kind of like, I mean, I'm afraid of bears, but I don't really have any reason, so I thought it was like that.
No, yeah, and yeah, that's all they do is they're not like forest bears that like kind of hang around the same spot. They actually will walk like dozens and dozens of miles a day to like go find things to eat.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they're really crazy bears, and they're like the biggest too, besides like Kodiaks, but Kodiaks don't really do too much.
I like they were coming in with like the random polar bear facts. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Anyway, she was also promised that she would be one of many Alaska Native people joining the crew, but by the time they were meant to leave, the rest of the Alaskan Natives had all backed out except for Ada.
Same.
Yeah, this seems kind of ominous, and it left her uncertain about participating, but ultimately she decided to do it because she was promised $50 a month, which is about $785 now, which was way more than she could be getting elsewhere, and was enough to provide for her child.
Dang, hustle.
I know. The expedition was to take place north of Siberia on Wrangel Island in Russia.
North of Siberia?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's
Polar
crazy.
Bear Express. Other than Ada, the crew had 4 more members, one of whom was European Canadian and the rest who were European American.
That's not that many members.
It's not. It was,
I mean, if you think about it,
let's just say Stephenson fucked up.
If a couple of them died, I mean, that's like almost half your crew gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably not well if it's the topic this week is survivors.
I feel like I wouldn't go with like any less than like, I don't know, 13 to 20 people.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I wouldn't go with way more than 20, honestly. It would have to be a lot.
You're like, I'd only go with a parade of people.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Safe in numbers. How are you going to be safe in a group of 5?
Also, yeah. Also, like, exploring the Arctic seems like one of the most sketchiest things.
Incredibly sketchy.
Yeah.
And dude, these people were so fucking young. So Ada, like I said, was 23. Next up was Milton Gale, 19. Alan Crawford, 20, Lauren Knight, 28, and Fred Moore, 28. Everyone under 30.
That's crazy.
Fucking wild.
Do you know the year that this was or around?
Yeah, this was in 1921.
That's crazy. There's actually a this is like kind of alluding to my story as well, which is the only reason I think it'd be interesting to include it. This is right around the time, I think a few years after, there was another doctor that was like studying and researching in the Antarctic, and they actually had this a pretty famous story, you probably heard of it, where they had appendicitis, and they actually operated on themselves to give themselves an appendectomy.
I did hear
I think
about
that's
that.
what it's called.
I don't know what it's called, but yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, they removed their appendix by themselves.
My God.
They just used a mirror.
Ooh, fuck
Yeah,
that
it's
shit.
crazy.
Fuck that. I would probably just die. I literally don't think I have the willpower to be able to do that.
Yeah, because he could tell that it was like inflamed and about to burst, and so he had to remove it before. And he was in the middle of the Antarctic, so obviously he was the only
alone.
one. Not alone. He was doing research with other people, but there was no doctors besides himself, I think.
Okay, so if I ever go on an Arctic trip, at least 10 doctors, group of 300.
Yeah, I forgot the years. Either like 1913 or 1918, something like that. So it was
Well,
actually
around this time.
Yeah, similar time.
Oh my God, why was everyone hanging out in the Arctic back then?
I don't know. I mean, there's just not much going on, I guess.
There's not much going on.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Arctic.
Yeah, I think like the First World War was just like barely done, so people were just like hanging out.
Yeah, let's go check out that ice.
Yeah, not entirely sure on the World War I date.
I don't remember when that. I wasn't alive.
I
say remember like I was there.
I wasn't alive. Yeah, no shit.
Shut up.
All right.
But more importantly, they brought along 14 mush dogs.
Okay.
And a cat named Victoria, Vic for short.
Yeah, she was the leader.
There is a lot of pictures of Victoria the cat that I'm going to be posting. She's so cute. They're just, because, you know, everyone looked so serious in pictures back then. And then just like a little cat on their shoulder, like a parrot. It's so cute. I showed Robert one of the pictures.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool cat.
It's really cute. So Crawford would be leading the expedition in a mission to claim and colonize the island for the British colony, who literally did not request that they do this and actually showed very little interest in the land.
Yeah, they're all like, oh, there's no oil or any mining resources here.
What's the point? There's not even any people to colonize.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the island, but I mean, Siberia has like a lot of oil, I think. But
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I wonder if they didn't even care about oil at this time. So
yeah, oil's nothing. They didn't care about anything. It was just ice. All they cared about was ice.
No, no. I mean, Britain obviously probably would have liked if there was a mining operation they could do there.
True. You know what's funny? This guy Stephenson originally approached like Canadian government and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to this island and claim it for you guys," and they were like, "No, we don't want that."
No thanks.
And that's when he went to the British, and the British were like, "We're not really that interested," but they didn't explicitly tell him no. So he was like, "I'm doing it for you guys."
That's some weird colonization stuff.
Weird. I don't know why he wanted to claim it, and it's weird because it was like already claimed. It's not like they found it.
Yeah, it's weird.
They knew. I don't know. It's just fucking weird. So the team was handpicked by Stephenson for their previous experience and academic credentials, but he himself, like I said, was not planning on joining them. So I thought it was super interesting. Fred Moore had actually been to Wrangel Island before on a previous voyage led by Stephenson back in 1913. I could do like a whole fucking episode on this trip too, but I'm just gonna like sum it up real quick for you guys. In this trip, he had been one of 14 survivors after their ship had sunk and they'd been forced to walk across ice to Wrangel Island 80 miles away, where they'd been stranded for several months awaiting rescue.
Chilling.
Yeah. Despite surviving this shit show, Moore continued working with Stephenson and agreed to take part in this new expedition.
Dang.
I'm like,
dude's just asking for it.
Yeah, I'm like, this is some Final Destination shit. You survived one, you don't join another.
That reminds me of, this is a totally random tangent, but there's a story.
That's literally all this podcast is, so
there's a
go
story
for it.
of this, it's like a funny story because it's, you'll see.
Okay.
But essentially it's like the story of how this person ended up like getting on a boat during World War I. Mm-hmm. And like it sank and he had to abandon it, and then he got into another ship.
Why?
Which for like the enemy forces, which then sank and he had to abandon it.
Stop it.
And then he went on to another one.
Bruh.
But it ends up the story is he was a cat.
Oh, he was a cat?
Yeah, in World War I, and he had gone to a bunch of different ships because they kept sinking.
I love him.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
He's a hero. He's a war hero.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's funny because reading it halfway through, you're like, dang, this guy had the worst luck ever. It's like those people that get struck.
Cat just keeps getting handed off.
Yeah, those people just get like struck by lightning like 3 times or something like that.
I was like, dang, why does he keep getting on ships? But it's just a little kitty cat trying to live his life.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Him.
Of course, that reminds me of SpongeBob when they're.
Yo, Robert's like that meme where they're like, me every conversation, and it's a guy with like a huge thing like of cheese shredding, and he's like, it's like this episode of SpongeBob where he just references SpongeBob a lot.
Yeah, Michelle describing the meme was much worse than you can imagine.
I'm so sorry. I hope you all know what I mean.
Yeah. Either way, I reference SpongeBob a lot, but it's like that one episode where they're all like, how many times have we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
Oh, he's just an old cat.
But in this case, he's just some random dude that gets stranded often.
Yeah, it happens once. That's enough, man.
Yeah.
I'd be like, sorry, dude.
I'd be like, oh, never actually go on a boat again.
Yeah, right? And it seemed like a lot more complicated than that. Like, it kind of seemed like Stephenson, like, fucked it all up and basically fucked everyone over. A lot of people died. They were talking about, like, 2 groups of 4 while they were walking these 80 miles were just never seen again.
Okay.
There was a fight.
Probably a polar bear.
Oh, stop it. There was a fight whenever they were like camping out because they're for several months, and like obviously people are gonna clash, and someone shot another person.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a shit show. A lot of people died.
That's good.
I mean, not good, but okay. So on September 9th, 1921, the crew of 5 boarded the Silver Wave and departed to Wrangel's Island. They'd been given 6 months of rations and supplies and told by Stephenson that the friendly Arctic would provide them plenty of game for eating until it could be picked up in a year.
Excuse me?
Excuse me. The friendly Arctic?
The friendly Arctic?
Yeah. So they arrived on the island a week after setting sail on September 16th, and they planted a British flag in the soil per Stephenson's instructions, no matter that the island literally already belonged to another country.
That's what colonization
That's how
is.
it works. Isn't that how British colonize everywhere? They're like, this is our land now.
That's literally how all colonization works.
Oh, God. So, funny enough, because we were just laughing, initially the friendly Arctic actually did provide for them, as it was absolutely fucking covered in polar bears.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were just killing them up. They were able to get adequate food, which is good, as a lot of the food they brought along with them had spoiled during the trip.
Obviously.
The 6 months of rations, gone.
Yeah, I mean, what else?
How fucking stupid is this guy where he's like, 6 months of food, you guys will get the rest. Trust me, I was stranded there before.
You'd think it'd be all like frozen,
God.
so it wouldn't go bad.
Yeah, it kind of just makes you sad about the state of polar bears now, where they were like all over before.
Yeah.
Easily just killing polar bears and eating them. And now it's like all we see is just sad ads about baby polar bears trying to like find ice and shit.
It's like the North American buffalo all over again.
Stop. Sad.
Extinction.
Okay, dark. So the social situation in camp wasn't going very well in the beginning.
I could imagine.
According to a biography written on Ada, I didn't read all of it, I just read portions. She actually randomly began to develop feelings for her crewmate Alan Crawford, who rebuffed her declarations of affection. I know, awkward, right?
Yeah.
Awkward situation for working with somebody close quarters for a year. And while she got along with a few of the people there, she also began to get like paranoid and scared that they were planning on killing her.
Okay.
Like the ones who didn't like her. She was like going through it. I guess there's something called like Arctic hysteria. Like she got there, realized how many polar bears there were, realized she was in the middle of fucking nowhere surrounded by ice, and it's like kind of you go into disassociative episodes and stuff.
Yeah.
And it can kind of make you like comatose for hours, and some people will like freak out and like try to like kill themselves and stuff. She didn't try to do that, but she was not enjoying it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, based on letters and diary entries by those that were there, nobody was intending on hurting Ada, but they were actually starting to get really annoyed with her because she wasn't being much help around the camp, and she just kept swooning over Crawford all the time.
All right, so she was useless.
Yeah. Which I think is so funny because she's once I get to the end of the story, I mean, I already told you she walked like that 40 miles to save her son and stuff. Like, she clearly can do stuff. She was just like way in over her head.
Yeah.
They tried like soothing her into working and like comforting her and like reading her Bible verses about like helping and stuff. You know, she was raised by missionaries, so she like liked that shit.
Okay.
And that worked for a little bit, but it didn't keep her like in a steady schedule. And later they had to get more intense and literally threaten her with making her sleep outside if she wasn't going to help work. And that was enough to get her into a real routine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, death threats usually do stuff like that.
Harsh, but it worked. And the team was able to work cohesively for a while. I feel like there must have been more options between Bible verses and threatening to sleep outside, but hey.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess I wasn't there.
Yeah, no one was.
So while they worked cohesively for a bit, unfortunately, things started taking a turn for the worse because summer ended and the game slowly disappeared and their stores began to dwindle.
Yeah.
But I'm confused. The friendly Arctic, why not provide?
Oh, it's because they weren't friendly enough.
Oh, shit. Okay.
They didn't befriend the Arctic.
Shit, you right.
Yeah.
How fucking stupid is this guy? He was probably only there during the summer.
Yeah. I mean, even then, I feel like the Arctic has never been described as friendly
No
by
one's
anyone.
ever been like, yes, this island in Serbia and Russia, the friendliest place on earth.
Yeah, I think most people think it's a desolate wasteland of just actual
ice and death.
atrocities.
Yeah, it's brutal. The crew had no way of knowing that the ship sent to pick them up had been forced to turn around due to an ice barrier. As they waited and watched the ice pack surround them, they realized that nobody was coming to get them quite yet, and they'd be stuck here for another year until the ice melted.
Nice. Yeah, because back in the day, I don't know when, but it wasn't like super common to have metal-hulled ships. that could just like bust through giant sheets of ice.
Yeah. This is like 10 years after the Titanic.
Yeah, yeah. So they definitely had metal-hulled ships.
They had them, but I don't think that this crew of 5 was getting picked up by one.
No, yeah.
It was definitely probably just like some shitty cheap one. And now they're running out of food. The Arctic's not even being friendly, and they're like, "Fuck, we're surrounded by ice. We're here for another year."
Yeah, they could have just called someone.
Oh yeah, just pull your cell phone.
Yeah.
Oh god, everything sucked so bad back then.
Yeah. That sounds like the worst.
This is sad. And it was cold.
Yeah, all year.
And you're just cold all year. Yeah. By early 1923, the crew's situation had turned dire. They were running out of food, and Knight was deathly ill with scurvy. I'm sorry, but like I didn't realize how serious scurvy could be until I read this.
Yeah.
It could be really bad.
Yeah, it's deadly.
Yeah. It's just because scurvy is just a silly word.
Yeah, I think most people associate it with like, oh, pirates and eating oranges.
I have scurvy.
Yeah, people don't realize that you like low key start going insane and like rotting and stuff.
It's fucked up.
Yeah.
So on January 28th, Gale, Crawford, and Moore left Ada to care for Knight as they headed across the ice to seek help in Serbia, 90 miles away. They also took all the dogs with them, and they were never seen again.
Oh, okay.
Nobody has any idea what happened to them, but I mean...
They probably got away. They're Serbians now.
I don't think that they made it to Serbia.
I don't know, you know?
I don't know. I can't even imagine what happened. They probably got hypothermia.
Yeah, I don't know. They probably just died.
I should say, by this point, there was only 13 dogs. One dog ended up dying.
Oh, yeah.
R.I.P. Pup.
Rest in pup.
Rest in pup, and rest in peace to the 3 dudes.
Yeah, I guess.
Definitely fucking died.
Yeah.
For the next 6 months, Ada cared for the sickly Knight. She was forced to learn by her survival skills and act as a doctor, nurse, companion, servant, and huntswoman in one. Instead of being appreciative of Ada, Knight, likely projecting his own feelings of helplessness, constantly criticized her for not taking better care of him.
Okay.
Literally the only other person.
Wait, who's this person?
This is one of her crewmates.
Knight?
His last name's Knight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Honestly, this whole time when you're talking about him, I thought you were like saying that nighttime was sickly.
No. His name was Knight. His last name is Knight.
So her crush just got murked?
Yeah, her crush got murked. She was stuck. Knight was one of the guys that she was convinced wanted to kill her.
Okay.
And now she's stuck with him, taking care of him. And he's just like, fuck you, you're not even a good helper.
It's only them 2 left?
It's only them 2 left. And Victoria the cat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She wrote in her diary that although she did not let him see her get upset with these criticisms, they did actually hurt her, of course. She wrote that he never stopped and think how much it's hard for women to take 4 man's place, to woodwork and to hunt for something to eat for him, and do waiting to his bed and take the shit out for him.
Oh, Jesus.
I like that she swore. Well, she put like shiad or something, which is shit.
Okay.
After 6 months of this, Lauren Knight eventually passed away from scurvy on June 23rd, 1923. Both physically and mentally unable to bury him, Ada left his body in his sleeping bag, which she just zipped up. She set up a barricade around him of boxes so that wild animals would be unable to reach his remains. When he began to decompose, instead of like doing something with his body, she rather just moved into the storage tent to escape the smell and tried her hardest to survive and not fall into despair.
Hey, I mean, she could have just like covered him in snow. And that would have like froze his body.
I don't know if there was necessarily snow at all times. It was really icy.
Okay.
But there's pictures that I'll be posting on Instagram. I'll talk about pictures soon. Some of them didn't have snow.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. By now it was like more like summer again.
Oh, okay.
Or getting there.
Yeah, I just figured there was like snow all the time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, using driftwood, she reinforced the wall and ceiling of her tent. In the entrance, she built a cupboard out of boxes where she stored her binoculars and ammunition, and above her bed, she built a gun rack to keep a weapon handy in case any polar bears got too close to the camp. She was able to teach herself how to set traps for white foxes and shoot birds for food, some of which would get stolen by bears.
Of course.
The bears would literally wander into their camp and steal their food.
Yeah.
Fucking scary, especially now they know that they're the biggest, like most aggressive bears.
Yeah, they're also scavengers. Well, I mean, most bears are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty natural that they would do stuff like that.
I didn't know, and I was like, how many bears does she see? She has like a gun rack, ammunition. I also, whenever I wrote this part, I hadn't yet learned that she was terrified of polar bears.
Yeah.
Makes more sense now. She was even able to like build a platform that she used to look for bears off in the distance, so she could like see if they're like coming at her and stuff, and she needed to shoot at them.
That's funny.
I don't know how she built a platform. I mean, I guess maybe just stacking boxes.
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny because they have like deer stands for hunting. They're literally called deer stands, which are kind of like what you just described, like watchtowers in the middle of forests.
Oh, and that's what she did.
Yeah, but she has a bear stand.
It's actually like kind of amazing because, like I said, this is why you were like, oh wow, cool that she learned like cooking and all that stuff. And I was like, actually not cool because she didn't learn like any of the shit that would have helped her survive, but she ended up learning on her own.
Yeah, true. But I don't know like how much of this they would normally teach women. And
from what I read, she would have learned a lot more. It was like unfortunate that she didn't know it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she was thankfully able to figure all these skills on her own. She also built a boat using driftwood and animal skins after the one they'd brought on the expedition was lost during a storm. And she learned how to use the photography equipment that they'd brought along with them and like took some pictures of herself in the camp.
Just taking selfies.
Yeah, except for, like she probably just stand there for like 20 minutes waiting for the camera to go off.
She like hits the button, like slowly walks over, sits there for like 20 minutes, takes a sip of water, and she goes back and she's like, shit,
it didn't work correctly. She did have to experiment at first.
She actually like never hit the button.
I know. She's like, fuck. Or rather, shit. I mean, shit.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yes.
I never would have got that.
Shy. I don't know how to actually read it. On August 20th, 1923, nearly 2 years after setting sail for the expedition, Ada was finally rescued when the ship Donaldson arrived to rescue the crew, which now consisted of just her and Victoria the cat, who survived the entire time.
Well, Victoria the cat is a carnivore, so luckily she didn't have to worry about scurvy.
Yeah, Victoria's just chilling. Those on the rescue ship noted that she had mastered her environment so far that it seems likely she could have lived there another year, although the isolation would have been a dreadful experience.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Which is a very, like, no shit statement.
Oh, what do you do for a year just hanging out?
I mean, at least Victoria the cat was there.
Yeah, she just, like, sat there, pet the cat, ate some bear meat.
I can't imagine how scary that'd be to be deathly afraid of bears and be the only one alive, and bears frequently just come into your fucking camp and take your food.
Yeah. Also, that sounds like a nightmare. Awful, like, because apparently bear meat's actually not very good. Like, you have to treat it really well. It tastes, like, really nasty.
I mean, she also ate fox and bird, so those are probably better.
Yeah, probably, because that probably just tastes like chicken or something.
I know there's also like reindeer and seal around there too. I don't know how much she ate those, but I know that whenever they found her, she was wearing a fucking like reindeer coat that she'd made herself while she was there.
Yeah, it'd probably be easier to kill reindeer because they usually travel in large packs.
Really? Oh, so you could just pick one out?
Yeah, they'll travel in packs of like hundreds sometimes.
Aren't you glad Robert has all these fucking animal fun facts?
Yeah, sometimes.
This is nice. You know, once, this reminds me, whenever we were, I might have already said this story, but you know, it was like a year and a half ago, so I'll say it again. We went to Olympic National Park, and we saw a massive fucking elk there.
Yeah, it was easily 7 feet tall.
Yeah, it was mega tall. And we were like probably less than 10 feet away from it, and we were looking at it. And I was like, Robert. And he looked at it, and he's like, what? And he thought it was a fucking statue. And he was like, it's not real. And then this elk turned and looked at us. And we were like, oh, no, no, no. And just like backed away.
Yeah, for anyone that's like familiar with hunting at all, it was like pretty much the equivalent of like a 9-point rack it had on its head. It was a very large antler.
It could have killed us.
Easily.
And we like just stayed with some other people because it was right next to the trail. We stayed with some other people just like watching it from like 20 feet away for like 20 minutes, and somebody started walking down the trail, and they couldn't hear us because it was raining, and we're like, stop, and like pointing at the elk, and they were just like doo, just walking down the trail, and they walked up, and we're like, there's a fucking elk right there, and they're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, we didn't find out till later because it was dark and rainy and stuff, and there were signs behind us that were like, always stay like 50 feet away from elks, they could charge you and kill you.
Yeah,
so we were all just fucking morons. And
yeah, especially because that was like, it was a large male.
It was huge.
It was a bull, essentially.
If it was feeling aggressive, we would have been fucked.
Yeah, they can pretty easily gore you with their antlers.
But since I didn't know how dangerous they were at the time, and that we weren't supposed to be that close, it was really cool. It was so pretty. It
seemed pretty well adjusted to people as well. It didn't seem aggressive at all.
It was at like the beginning of a hike, the most popular hike in Olympic National Park.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was like sees people all the time.
Yeah, it honestly wasn't aggressive or standoffish at all. It just like was observing us, and then it went on the horse trail and left.
Yeah, it went on the horse trail, huh? We
Yeah.
just watched it walk away slowly.
Yeah.
It was actually really, really cool. But I thought that was so funny because whenever he saw it, he was like, "It's not real."
Well, it didn't look real because it was standing so still the whole time.
Yeah, it was very stoic. But anyway, I don't even remember where I was.
You were talking about reindeer.
Yeah, she was wearing her little reindeer coat.
Yep.
So, of course, Ada's story blew up and caused a frenzy in the media, who dubbed her the real-life female Robin Crusoe. But despite all the attention and praise she was receiving, Ada wanted nothing more than to stay away from the press and go back to her son.
I know. Her son's like almost double his age now.
I know. He's like probably 7 or 8 at this point.
Yeah, definitely 8.
Yeah. But she was able to go and get her son using the money she received from the expedition, which according to multiple sources was less money than she was promised.
Of course.
And she was the sole survivor. What do you mean you could afford it?
I mean, if you think about it, that's what, 7 times 24? I mean, that's probably a lot of money back then. That's a lot of money back then.
I mean, the other 4 members of the crew died.
Yeah, she should get all their money too.
She should.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Ada was able to get custody of Bennett, and the two moved to Seattle, Washington, to seek treatment for his TB at a hospital there.
Oh, that's cool.
So maybe she saw the elk in Olympic National Park.
Yeah, the same one.
It's in Washington.
It's just always there.
He's always lived there. Eventually, Ada remarried and had another son whom she named Billy, and her little family returned back to Alaska. Despite the popularity of her story, which went on to inspire several books, none of which she profited from, she literally made $0 from them, she remained relatively poor for the rest of her life. In another fucked up turn of events, there was later a series of smear campaigns against her character when rumors were started that she had refused to help take care of the dying knight while on Wrangel Island.
Okay.
And I don't know, I couldn't confirm what the rumors were, but they might have been fueled by Stephenson.
That's funny.
The guy who paid for the exhibition, stiffed her on her pay, and then he also wrote a book about her and didn't give her any money.
Oh, that's cool.
Just an all-around fucked up dude. But anyway, Bennett's health issues never completely went away, and he passed away from a stroke at the age of 58.
Dang.
Very young to have a stroke.
Oh, I mean, he had TB.
I mean, yeah. Ada herself died in a nursing home in Palmer, Alaska at the age of 85 on May 29th, 1983. Her body was buried in Anchorage next to her son who had preceded her in death.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's a tough life.
That's the story of Ada. It sucks. They're like, oh my god, she's a hero. She did this. She survived. And she literally was just like poor the rest of her life. And then people started being like, she didn't even try to help that guy. First of all, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yes, she did. And even if she didn't, like, shit, that was probably a stressful situation. I'm not sure I would have been the best caretaker in that situation either.
Yeah, I mean...
She was not a caretaker. She was literally there to sew them clothes.
Yeah, that's just really weird.
It's a wild story, and fuck the Arctic is what I would like to say.
Yeah, I don't plan on going anytime soon.
Can I get a fuck the Arctic in the chat?
Unless I'm, like, in Finland. You can catch me out there.
Finland seems dope.
Or, like, Norway. I think they're, like, technically in the Arctic Circle? Circle?
Is Iceland in the Arctic Circle?
I don't know. I know parts of, like, most of the northern countries are, like, partially in
though,
it.
so that's why I'm like, I'd fuck with Iceland.
Yeah, I don't know if Iceland is, but I'm sure part of it is.
You're certainly not going to catch me near polar bears, though. I'm going to Google where they are and stay far away.
No, definitely
Fuck that
not.
shit.
Yeah, polar bears are crazy.
Polar bears are hella scary. Now that I know this, oh my god, I'm going to look them up so much.
Yeah, polar bears are actually crazy.
There's this one restaurant in NorCal that we used to always stop at on, it wasn't field trips, on road trips.
Same thing.
It's at a restaurant called like Gonzalez or something like that. I don't know. And they have a taxidermy polar bear, and I remember it was huge, and I thought it was just huge because I was a little kid. And now I'm thinking back, and I'm like, I think it was also huge compared to like my dad and stuff.
No, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the biggest bears. They're like they can be like at least 7 feet tall.
That's some fucking spooky shit.
Yeah, they're really big.
Yeah, that is my story on Ada. I'm really excited to share some of the pictures of her in the camp and stuff on Instagram, so go check those out.
That's cool. I mean, she had an unfortunate life, but
She had a shitty life, dude.
yeah.
And everyone just benefited from her fucking story and fucked her over.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm going second because it has like a much better ending
Isn't that unfortunate that, like, because she was, like, a woman of color and stuff, and people were stealing her stories and
was?
making money. Yeah, she was, like, Native Alaskan.
Okay, yeah.
And I think he's a white guy and stuff. You're like, his ends pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brutal. Oh, also, like, some of the, like I said, some of the people she was part of the crew with were, like, kind to her, but other people, like, were not so kind because of, like, her race and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
It was unfortunate. But yeah, I will let you go.
All right, cool. So, my story is going to be much more recent than the top of the 1800s.
Yeah.
But we're going to be talking about Aron Ralston, not to be confused with Aron. He actually just uses one A.
Oh, no Aaron.
No, just Aron.
I was assumed.
Just Aron Ralston. He was born in He was born in 1975, so not too long ago.
Oh, that was like ancient.
I know, right? But either way, so this story is pretty well known because it's also the famous movie 127 Hours, which is starring James Franco.
Now I'm sure you all were like, that's the movie you kept referencing a million fucking times at the beginning.
Yeah, so it's a pretty famous movie. It's viewed by a ton of people, and
I watched it.
Oh, you've seen it?
Mm-hmm. Did you watch it?
No, I've never seen it.
Really? Oh, he doesn't like gory things.
Also, it's just, I don't know, I feel like...
You don't like stressful movies either.
No, not even that. It's mostly because I'm about to tell you a story, and I feel like it could be done in as little as 10 minutes, so I definitely wouldn't want to watch a movie about it.
I don't particularly remember being like, well, this is a great movie. It was more shocking than anything.
Yeah, of course. If you don't know the story, it's definitely crazy.
Yeah.
But either way, so Aron actually was a mechanical engineer. He went to school and became that and did a little bit of mountaineering on the side, kind of as a hobby.
I definitely thought he was like a fucking professional mountaineer.
No.
I have not seen this movie in a really long time, just so you all know.
Yeah, no, he just did it as a hobby, and then eventually, after like 3 to 5 years, he kind of got like burnt out on engineering and really just wanted to like get all into mountaineering and climbing and stuff like that. So he ended up quitting his job in order to climb Denali, which is Alaska National Park, the tallest mountain in North America.
Wow.
Yeah, so also a funny note is, so they actually had a person go out and remeasure the height of Denali because apparently they had used not photography, but well, I guess it is photography. Either way, they used photos in order to get the estimated height of it, which was 20,320 feet. But they since actually went and trekked out and measured it, and it was actually 20,310 feet, so 10 feet less.
So it's not even that tall.
Yeah, it's not even that big a deal.
No, big deal.
I just thought that was hilarious.
I like that they were like, we haven't measured this in a while. Someone go measure that shit. See how tall it is now.
Yeah, but
it actually was different.
Apparently it was. But yeah, it's a pretty big mountain for anyone that doesn't know. Obviously 20,000 feet.
I feel like I've heard you talk about that and be like, that'd be so sick to like.
I think it would be really sick. I think it's probably one of the most like coolest mountains, but also it's the third most isolated mountain behind Aconcagua as well as Mount Everest. And by isolated means obviously not close to anyone else.
Okay, so, I don't want you to do that.
Yeah, pretty cool hike, but obviously it could be pretty dangerous. But he ended up quitting in order to go to Denali and did that successfully.
Wow.
And after that, he ended up moving to Colorado. For anyone that doesn't know, Colorado is pretty high up because there is so many mountains. It's pretty much just a city in the mountains, and it's known for its 14ers, or mountains that are over 14,000 feet tall.
Jesus Christ.
He actually, when he went there, ended up trying to go for like this record that he like invented, which was going and solo climbing all 59 14ers during winter. Yeah. So he just like wanted to do that. And
why does this sound like some shit that you do?
I don't know. But one really cool 14er that I've talked about with you before recently.
Yeah, I've heard him say 14ers. That's why when he said it, I was like, oh, here we go.
In South California, near LA, there's Mount Whitney, actually.
Oh, yeah. He's talked about wanting to do that before.
Yeah, Mount Whitney is really nice from what I've seen. But for anyone in California, if you want to know how tall a 14er is, you can go try and do that one. Oh, it's not for the faint of heart, but it's also not bad if you take a couple days to do it, from what I understand.
It's great because Robert always talks about like hikes and mountains and stuff, and I really overestimate how athletic I am. And I'm like, let's fucking do it. Let's go and climb this mountain.
Yeah.
And then like I walk 10 miles a Disneyland in a day, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm deceased.
Yeah, as far as I know, 14ers aren't too bad as long as you either take a couple days to do it and also bring friends with also like medicine, because it's really easy to get altitude sickness.
Yes.
And that's usually what takes people out of the game.
Ooh.
Not
Is it just
not
like
the
nausea or like
it's both. It gives you like lack of breath, nausea, like throwing up, just a ton of
not
stuff.
ideal things when climbing a 14,000 foot mountain.
Yeah, it can also make you dizzy. There's a ton of side effects, so none of which you want while hiking.
Fuck that shit.
Either way though, besides all the 14ers that he was doing in Colorado, he also got into canyoneering not too long after that, which is just a subset of mountaineering, which sometimes includes stuff like rappelling and stuff like that. So it's essentially
climbing canyon. Yeah,
it's essentially climbing canyons or like getting into holes that are in mountains and climbing those and stuff like that. So
what a niche thing to be into.
Yeah, it's a subset of mountaineering, which is already kind of niche to begin with, so it's almost as niche as you can get.
You're like, how do I make this more niche? I'm gonna climb down a hole in a canyon.
Yeah. But in 2003, at the age of, I think he was around 28, he went to solo climb the Blue John Canyon near Moab in Utah.
Wait, 28? You're gonna be 28 soon.
Yeah.
Imagine at your age going and doing this.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that crazy.
Oof.
But also, Blue John, in case you're wondering, is one word, not to be confused with Blue and John.
Oh, I thought it was 2 words.
Yeah, I know,
Thank
right?
you for telling me.
So Blue John Canyon near Moab, and Moab is actually a really famous spot in Utah. It's one of the biggest national parks. I'm pretty sure it's a national park, but it is.
Where that area is. I know it is because the pictures are very famous of it.
It's crazy because I think the town has roughly 5,000 residents, but it gets anywhere between like 400 and 800,000 visitors a year.
Wow.
Yeah, one of the big like draws to that place is the Moab 240, which is an ultra marathon where you run around the Moab desert for 240 miles. And there's no markers or maps, so you kind of just have to like know.
Just vibes.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's right next to Arches as well, which is
that's definitely a national park.
Yeah, and it's also next to Canyonlands National Park.
Yeah, I really want to go to Utah's national parks.
Yeah, they have some of the best national parks.
Yes, hopefully someday.
But either way, he went over to Blue John, which is a slot canyon. It's a type of canyon. It's actually one of the more identifiable ones because it's more of a like causeway for water runoff. Okay. So it'll generally be a lot thinner and narrow. And so that's usually the ones that you'll see in between leading to the bigger areas, such as like the Grand Canyon. And
that's a big ass canyon.
Yeah. So he was going to go do this solo. It's funny because this is something that seems like he would do normally, is just go out and do these in the morning and do them by himself. And because of this, he actually didn't think to bring too many supplies. So he ended up bringing pretty much what equaled out to be like one large bottle of water, as well as a couple of burritos, like microwave burritos.
Now feels like a good time for a PSA. Always over prepare for hikes and shit.
Yeah.
You should see me and Robert's packs whenever we go on hikes, because we are always prepared. Like if we get fucking lost in the bush, we have like emergency blankets, like all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
If we got lost, we're set for like a couple of days.
Yeah, for sure.
Be ready. Bring a lot of stuff.
It's funny though, because not only did he not bring too many supplies, he also didn't have a phone with him. And he parked his truck there at the head of the trail, biked for quite a while, and then got off his bike and then hiked another 8 miles to the actual canyon.
It sounds like he wanted to be like disappearing.
I mean, he was out in the middle of nowhere essentially.
All that, and he was like, I just need a bottle of water.
Yeah, and so this was
Aron.
Because he didn't think it would be too big of a deal. He actually didn't tell any of his friends or family where he was going, because he figured he would be done with this bike and hike before, it got dark.
Second PSA, everyone. No matter how fucking easy your hike is, tell someone where you're going.
Yeah.
Tell someone where you're going and when you should be back.
Yeah, definitely always a good idea to at least let someone know that you are out and about, just so... Yeah, they know to look out for you in case you don't show up.
If you don't text them for the next 2 days, you can be like, hey, where Are they still out there? What's happening?
Yeah, side note that I didn't include, but it took his family and friends to take a couple days to start searching for him because obviously no one knew where he was. Either
Robert,
way, though,
I swear.
while descending into the Blue John, he actually was climbing over some boulders that he ended up dislodging, and he and the boulder fell at the same time down into the narrow canyon, where it then hit his left arm and trapped his right arm against the canyon wall. So it trapped his hand at his wrist location.
On his right arm?
On his right arm.
Okay.
So essentially think of it being like halfway up your forearm, and it was trapped. Later on, they ended up finding out that the boulder was around 800 pounds.
I feel like that would just crush it and make it fucking shrivel off at that point.
Luckily, you brought that up because it actually essentially did. So whenever I first heard about this, I know of things such as crush syndrome, which is also known as rhabdomyolysis. And this is actually something I know from a few other places.
Robert literally knows the most random facts in the world.
Yeah, rhabdomyolysis is essentially whenever your muscle dies and breaks down.
Oh, you know, I've heard of this.
Yeah, I've told you about this before because if you actually work out too much, this can happen to you, although it's very rare.
Oh, yeah, you've told me about that happening to someone.
Yeah. So essentially what happens in crush syndrome is because your flesh and cells are dead from the amount of crushing that has happened to them, your liver actually has to run that through the system and detoxify your blood. But because there's so much dead like matter in your body, you actually overwhelm your body and you end up dying because you can't go through all of the dead tissue fast enough.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so this is actually really one of the easiest ways to figure out that this has happened to you is whenever you pee, your pee is like the darkest orange it could possibly be, essentially brown.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because that's like all of your nutrients.
I feel like it would already be so scary for this to be happening, and then you're like, okay, I need to go pee, and to see your pee dark orange, you're like, this cannot be good.
What's really rough is usually what's accompanied with crush syndrome is compartment syndrome, where essentially it like because of the crushing and stuff like that, you actually end up building a lot of pressure up in the body part that isn't getting enough blood. And so what happens is there's like a lot of swelling and there's not enough blood. So your cells that haven't died from the crushing end up dying because there's no blood getting to them. So your body ends up decomposing really fast. And
your body's decomposing when you're still alive.
Yeah. And of the people that end up getting compartment syndrome in their thighs, there's roughly a 49% fatality rate. So it's actually kind of a big deal. And
Robert, I never want to go to Utah. I've changed my mind.
Yeah,
You
even
don't need to go to Utah anymore.
Firstly hearing this story, I was like, all right, so there's definitely
fuck this shit.
Yeah, dude's already starting off in a tough spot. So this happened immediately. Yeah, so he was stuck there at the bottom of this canyon. Where he was, and he had so much supply. Yeah, he was in a tough spot.
That is such a rough lesson to learn to let everyone know when you're going somewhere.
Yeah. This is, like I said, this is apparently something that he did all the time, and obviously...
he definitely felt confident in it.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
He was fairly experienced and was a veteran at this point, but that kind of goes to show... It wasn't his fault,
that was just a freak accident.
Yeah, that goes to show that this can happen to anyone.
Literally anyone.
So, but like I said, luckily he is a veteran mountaineer of some sort, so he did immediately start rationing his food and water because
smart.
This is kind of where the movie got its name, because he was here for the next 127 hours.
How many days is that?
It's roughly a little more than 5.
No, 1 water bottle, a few burritos?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, it was 12 liters of water roughly.
I don't think I realized how many days that is. I didn't do the math, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know it's a lot, but I'm too lazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely way too many hours for him to be stuck like this.
A few hours.
Yeah, so after the first 3 days, he had been like furiously stabbing and trying to break the boulder, but honestly to no avail. It was a really tough stone, and the only thing that he brought that was a knife of any sort was essentially a free multi-tool. He said, even in his own words, described it as something you might get for free whenever you buy a water bottle. Like if you buy like one of those water bottles, you get like the discount multi-tool.
Stop it. I'm surprised it didn't break when he was doing the welder.
Yeah, which is it's essentially, for anyone that doesn't know, it's a set of pliers that have like a Phillips head screwdriver and a couple short knives on it. And I'm
not bringing like a machete whenever we hike.
Right, that definitely would have helped him out here, but honestly not so much because the rock was so hard.
I don't know what a machete would do with a boulder.
He would have needed some like chisels and stuff to get through it.
I'll bring a chisel with me.
After the 3 days of pretty much doing nothing because the rock wasn't budging, he ended up becoming more delirious and dehydrated, obviously, because even though he was rationing it, you need a lot more than 12 liters of water over 3 days.
Yeah.
This is actually when he first started thinking about amputating his arm. So he had taken multiple attempts at cutting off his own arm, and this was kind of
before the third day?
No, this was the first.
Starting now, okay.
Yeah, so he ended up trying to use the longer knife that he had, which is about 3 or 4 inches.
That's not
but
long.
This is the same one that he had been using on the rock, so it was pretty much dull, and it didn't really work. Yeah. It was at this point that he had, while chipping away at the rock, accidentally stabbed his thumb, and he noticed that he couldn't really feel too much, and so kind of took it onto himself to like poke and prod around his hand, and actually was able to like slip the knife into his pinky finger like a quarter of an inch, and didn't really notice that he didn't feel anything. But he did notice that there was like a whooshing of air as like all of the pent up pressure in his arm had been like released through his finger. But he also could tell that there was a like really bad smell because he could essentially smell the decomposition of his still attached arm. And that's when he kind of started to like freak out.
I literally don't even know how to react to this. Like, this is a lot.
Yeah. So that's when he started freaking out because he knew his arm was still like there, but also
like
dead. So he knew that was like, there was nothing good that could come of this. And that's when he like more seriously started thinking about amputating his arm. But it wasn't really until like the 4th day of thinking about the amputating his arm that he realized he didn't have the proper equipment to, obviously you have to saw through bones in order to actually cut off any body part. So there's 2 bones.
Forewarning everyone.
Yeah, there's 2 bones in your forearm, and he'd have to cut through both with pretty much a butter knife, which just wasn't going to happen. So that's when he put the amputation idea back on the back burner. At this point, he'd pretty much used up all of his rations and began peeing into the water bladder he brought with him in order to like drink it so he could not die of dehydration, which, I mean, obviously at this point he's already out of regular water as well as food, so he's just trying to do anything he can to get by.
Jeez.
So yeah, he's severely dehydrated and hallucinatory at this point, and during this time he had tons and tons of hallucinations.
Ugh.
Even in the movie they depicted that there was a flash flood that had happened and that like released the rock and his arm and he was able to get away, but actually it was kind of like a troll in the movie where he woke up and it was all a hallucination.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, but I don't know like how true that particular hallucination is, but it's funny enough, stuff like that, like the flash floods, actually happen extremely quick in those areas, so that would actually be like kind of a realistic scenario in the movie, because in as little as 5 minutes of rain you can easily be washed away and drown. It's like the grounds in these desert areas aren't really good at soaking up water.
You're not really selling Utah anymore.
Yeah, so in a lot of desert areas, if there's just a bit of rain, even a little bit of rain.
It's actually like that in parts of San Diego.
Yeah, that's enough to have a flash flood because, like I said, the ground's just simply not built for rain. So instead of soaking in the water, it actually just water sheds it off and it goes down into the crevices, and he was in a crevice. So theoretically, if there was a rainfall, it could have been like that and he probably would have just drowned to death.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, or fortunately, that didn't happen. Either way, so as the 5th night ended up dawning into the final day, which was the 6th day, at this point he knew that he was probably gonna die, but actually while this happened he was having hallucinations of a child. which he thought would be his future child.
Oh.
And also he saw himself playing with the child with only one arm. And this is kind of like his awakening, more or less. He said even several times that he kind of like died and was reborn at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And this gave him a lot of hope and really, got him pumped up to try and actually get out of it.
Yeah.
So after this, he kind of like started messing with his arm again to go and actually try to amputate it. And he could actually, at this point, there's a really good clip from Dateline NBC, which he was on after the fact, where they went back and revisited the same canyon where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of shows exactly how his arm, after a while, he realized was like weirdly more malleable than normal, maybe because it was like dead.
God, that's disturbing.
But he also couldn't feel it as much as normal. So at this point, he realized because it was more malleable, he could actually use torque and actually break his own bones using his body weight.
Rover.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah, it was pretty crazy. At this
you
point,
said he can't feel very much. Can he feel it at all, though?
Oh, yeah, he definitely could feel it.
Oh,
but
so it's still painful, but not as painful.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
oh
so it was pretty messed up, but he knew like pretty much at this point he had to like do something, and he was pretty amped up from having those crazy hallucinations.
Yeah.
So he ended up breaking the top or the bottom and then the top bone in his arm.
Oh,
luckily,
no, he heard that snap.
Yeah, he actually said that while he was doing it, he could hear a loud pop and then another loud pop, and then he knew he had broke both of them. And luckily, they had broken both at nearly the same place, which was just past his wrist.
Oh, okay, so it wasn't too much of his arm or anything.
No, he ended up losing pretty much all the arm.
But him having to do it.
Yeah, so it was just past his wrist that both of them broke, and at that point, he knew he couldn't use the longer knife. He had to use the shorter knife, which was just barely 2 inches, so think about the size of your pinky. That's how long his knife was. And it was also not very sharp. So
I don't like this.
Yeah, this was a brutal 5 days for him. He ended up having to hack away at his arm for nearly an hour in order to actually get it part of the way off.
Imagine the willpower needed to continue not just doing it once, but over and over for an hour.
Yeah, just continually. And so luckily, like I said, it broke nearly in the same place, and after hacking away at it for pretty much an hour, he described the worst part was getting through what looked like white spaghetti strands, which he knew would be the nerves in his arm, and then eventually his arteries. So if you've ever, he actually describes it perfectly.
I'm like hiding my face in my sweater, I can't.
He describes it perfectly. Of course, it's because he went through it, but if you've ever had like really bad nerve pain, then you know like it kind of like burns up your entire limb. He said it was like that, but like to the extreme. Like it felt like his entire arm was on fire as he like quickly like put his knife under it and like yanked to cut the nerves.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
So the last thing he ended up cutting actually was his arteries, which obviously a lot of people are wondering how he didn't bleed out. He actually ended up making a makeshift tourniquet out of the water bladder straw. So like the Camelback straw, the plastic ones.
Yeah, they're pretty long.
Yeah, they're pretty good for this. And he ended up
focus on the straw, Michelle. Don't think about what's happening.
So he wrapped that around his arm and tried to do his best to make a tourniquet. And it was really crazy. Honestly, I'd recommend checking out at least just the clip from Dateline NBC where he describes getting away from all this and finishing cutting off his arm, because he said it was like really weird where he ended up finally cutting off his arm and almost like fell back because he had been like so used to being attached to this rock where there's like no real way to sit, so he had to like fashion a way for him to sit on like some roping that he had brought with him, and there's like different ways that he found to make himself like comfortable, so he could only sit for like 20 minutes at a time and then stand for a little bit. And so he was like hallucinating because not just lack of water, but also his exhaustion, and his sleep was like practically none.
Yeah, sleeping like 20 minutes at a time.
Yeah. So at this time, he ended up nearly falling away after he got away from his own arm and he was finally free. But this was the tough part because he had to get out.
Yeah, you said he was like 8 miles deep.
8 miles
and then
deep.
his bike's
and
like
then his bike,
a million miles deep.
and then he had to get to his car.
Please stop
So,
this shit. Oh my god.
Definitely thought that he was still in rough shape at this point, which he definitely was. And he was able to actually rappel the 65 feet out of the canyon and then hiked 6 more miles until he actually ran into another family, the Mayer family. They're actually a family visiting from the Netherlands, which he would have died if he didn't come into contact with them. He said that he was pretty sure that if he had cut his arm off any earlier, then he would have died because he doesn't think he wouldn't run into anyone. So it was honestly just sheer dumb luck that he was able to get medical services.
That makes me feel like nauseous thinking about it, that it was just like lucky timing.
Yeah.
That family, was probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They were like, hello.
It was pretty crazy. I don't remember exactly how long, but they said that
the screen saw the word spaghetti and I was like, ugh.
They said that if he had, gone any longer, like an hour longer without medical treatment, he would have died from blood loss. Jeez. He ended up losing 40 pounds, which I don't know. I thought it was funny. I don't know if they include his arm in that.
They must include his arm.
I'm not sure, but either way, he ended up losing 40 pounds in less than a week. And they left, obviously his arm was still in the canyon, but funny enough, they actually ended up having to go back and get it.
I was wondering what they did with the arm.
It took them 13 men with some industrial equipment to actually move the rock and get his arm because obviously this was becoming a popular story and they didn't want people to go back to the dangerous spot and
try take selfies with the arm.
Yeah, try to look for the arm.
Ew.
Which he later got and cremated and spread the ashes at the same site where he got trapped.
Damn.
Yeah.
Whoa. I never even thought about cremating single amputation. I mean, that makes sense.
Single body parts.
Yeah, I guess what else did you wouldn't bury it?
Yeah. So that's what he ended up doing, but later on he still went back to engineering and still does mountaineering to some extent. He actually ended up going back and climbing the Aconcagua mountain,
wow.
which was, like I said, the second most isolated mountain next to Everest.
Aaron, if you don't stay away from these isolated areas, I swear to God.
Yeah, so he's pretty crazy. Not only that, of course, this turned into a big movie. He was on plenty of shows, like I said, NBC, The Stern Show,
Ellen and stuff.
Ellen, a bunch of different shows, and Daylight NBC, which I referenced quite a bit. So
yeah,
it's crazy. He ended up living, and got through.
Did he end up having a son?
He did end up having a couple children.
I wanted to see if the hallucination was correct.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much into his personal life. Apparently he wasn't the coolest person, but
really?
Yeah.
Doesn't that always suck?
Yeah, it wasn't confirmed, but apparently there was some domestic disputes and stuff like that.
Ah, great.
Yeah. But either way, that's ended up what happened. From as far as I could tell and research, is pretty well documented. So
shit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's fucking nutty. Everyone, please God, tell everyone when you're going on fucking hikes and stuff.
Yeah, if there's anything
if you're going
you can
on
take
a
away,
walk around your neighborhood, tell someone.
If there's any takeaway, it's to let people know where you are.
I literally tell people where I'm going all the time. I want to surprise Robert by getting french fries, and I'm like, no, just in case something happens, I have to text him and be like, hey, I'm getting fries.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm way too paranoid. I'm sure most people listening to this are probably paranoid.
I mean, you could end up having to cut off your arm.
I'm surprised that his first thought was cutting off his arm, because I feel like a lot of people's thought might be killing themselves, honestly.
No, his first thought was cutting off his arm, but he didn't actually think about it seriously for 3 more days.
Because he thought he'd be able to get out. Or someone would show up.
Or yeah, he was just holding out hope that something would happen.
I guess maybe you wouldn't automatically think killing yourself. It's just your hand and part of your arm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I never want to go anywhere alone, first of all. I never want to go canyoning. I want to go in the canyons, but I'm also afraid of flash floods.
Yeah.
I have a lot of new fears tonight. Polar bears. Fuck. I I hate the way that you described everything.
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
It's pretty crazy. And like crush syndrome as well as compartment syndrome.
Oh yeah, that's another thing I'm afraid of now.
Those aren't like exclusive to this. They're actually most
huge
common.
Boulders falling.
No, they're actually most common in car crashes.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because obviously there's a ton of pressure. Like if they're like two pieces of metal like crunching your arm, it's actually most common in arms and legs. But
I'm scared of cars now too.
yeah, this happens in anything from like buildings falling on people to car crashes to obviously boulders falling on you.
800-pound boulders falling on your hand.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah, definitely. I guess it's good knowledge to know is if you do have compartment syndrome, you might want to stab that limb to release the pressure.
Yeah. Imagine that's the noise it makes.
Yeah.
Do you think it sounds like a fart?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like a rushing of air, so probably.
Would you like laugh? You're like,
yeah, probably.
I feel like for the rest of the night while I'm editing, I'm just going to be dreading to your description of when he started cutting it.
Yeah.
It's going to haunt me.
Luckily, there wasn't like too much description that he included. He actually does. I
feel like you got pretty detailed.
He does have a book about this called Between a Rock and a Hard Place.
It's a really funny name.
Yeah, so he has a book about this as well, and there's tons of stories about this, so I just thought it was pretty interesting.
No, it's super interesting. And now it's given us some good life tips. Always come over prepared and tell everyone where you're going.
True. Also bring your phone.
Bring your phone, for goodness sake. You know, I went on my hike with Robert, my sister, and her now husband, like last year. And she was like, all right, time to go. Let me put my phone in my car real quick. And I was like, what do you mean? You're like, hike time. Let me put away this device that could be used to call for help if something happens. Yeah. I was like, you're fucking insane.
Yeah.
They didn't even like bring that much stuff. They brought like one water bottle. Water bottle? Yeah. Don't be like her, everyone.
Also, maybe...
I give her a lot of grief.
If you already bring stuff with you, maybe bring a bone saw.
I don't like that advice. I don't want that.
I don't know if that... I wonder what would have been worse.
It all would have been bad.
Like sawing through your own bones or breaking them.
You're saying that? I feel like I have to breathe like...
Yeah, I wonder how much he could feel or like if he was in shock because he like kind of described it as if like it gave him relief to hear it breaking.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not looking forward to editing this. It's Saturday night. This comes out tomorrow, so I have to record it like tonight. It's actually midnight. It's technically Sunday. So this is going to be a fun night reliving this story. I hope I don't say graphic pictures whenever I'm looking it up for Instagram.
I don't think so. I mean, he doesn't have any pictures. He does have, interestingly enough, he took like a short video of himself like having a last will and testament when he thought he would actually die.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Ooh,
he like carved his name and his birthday and his estimated death date on the wall.
That makes me want to cry. That's really sad.
He was pretty convinced he was going to die.
You know, you always hear stories where people are like, oh, they're convinced they're going to die and they survived. It makes me so sad to think about people who knew they were going to die and then they end up dying.
Yeah.
That's the saddest shit.
True.
I hate that we're all going to die someday. I'd just like to make that clear.
No, I'm going to live forever.
Fuck you, Mom and Dad, for making me be born.
Yeah, it's weird because
death.
I'm actually just going to live forever.
Yeah, no, I mean, lucky you. But not all of us are going to turn into cyborgs someday.
Yeah, I am going to be a cyborg.
Robert wants to be a cyborg. He's weird.
I will be a cyborg.
And he doesn't want to. It's just, unfortunately, it's his destiny.
Yeah, or fortunately.
Fortunately, it's his destiny to become
or a vampire.
A cyborg vampire.
Oh, true.
A robot who can't go in the sun.
I use blood for my gears.
Ew, gross.
I mean, that's a cyborg vampire.
No, I said a robot who can't go in the sun.
Well, I mean, what?
Vampires can't go in the sun. Cyborgs are robots.
Cyborgs have to eat.
Cyborgs have to eat still?
I mean, yeah,
What's
probably.
the point of being a cyborg?
You're not all metal.
Oh, shit. Well, that sucks. You still have to cook? I'm also not a good cook, clearly.
Yeah. But that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, that's for something else. But yeah, thank you, Robert, for joining and telling me one of the more gnarly stories I've heard.
Yeah, I figured I would do something a little more interesting. That
Than the creepypasta.
Yeah,
He's not into creepypasta.
where the person ended up living.
Yeah, so it wasn't as sad for you.
Yeah.
I literally checked with him too, and I was like, "Is it okay if in my story some people die but one person survives?" He said it was okay because it wasn't true crime related. Yeah. I think that's what really freaks him out.
I've witnessed enough death that I don't need to talk about it anymore.
At least it's something like you've seen people die
in real
life
not,
or something.
Not in real life, no.
Yeah.
But I've was born on the internet, so I've seen plenty of videos.
I'm glad that I missed all that. I mean, I'm not like significantly younger than you. I'm like a year and a half younger than you, but I was just on Tumblr, so I didn't see anything that bad.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck the internet. The internet sucks. But also the internet's how you found our podcast, so
True.
Thank God for the internet.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. If you guys want to follow us, you can on Instagram and Twitter, our spookyshit_pod. Our website is spookyshit-pod.com. You can send us any emails at thespookyshit.pod@gmail.com if you have like recommendations or any personal stories you want us to share. If you got stuck in between a rock and a hard place, let us know. We'd love to tell your story.
Yeah.
And if you absolutely hated Robert being here, hit us up. We love hate mail.
Yeah.
We actually haven't received hate mail. We probably wouldn't love it.
Or don't let me know. I probably won't read it.
Yeah, no. We don't like criticism over here. We'll cry.
Yeah, even if it's good, I probably
even
won't read it. Even if
it's nice, we'll cry and be like, what if they don't mean it?
Yeah, Michelle will read it though, so it's fine.
I would. But yeah, thank you, Rover. Thank you everyone for listening, and I will be back next week, back to usual with Brayden.
Yep.
And someday I'm sure you'll join again.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. All right. Talk to you a little later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Spook, spook, spook.